Hello. Hello,
Hello.
my hello, hello. How are
Hello.
you?
Good, and you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great.
I'm glad we're
Happy
finally on.
afternoon. I'm sorry.
I'm glad we're finally on.
Oh yeah, 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 definitely, definitely. Been looking forward to this. How's your day going so far?
Just getting started because I went to bed at 5 a.m.
Oh,
So I'm just,
getting up. So this is like the fresh beat, the fresh, the morning, the pseudo morning glow you got going on right now.
hmm I was like in the camera right
Yes,
before we got on.
yes, yes. I love it. I love it. I love it. Yeah, yeah. Well, congratulations on everything. We
Thank
love you
you.
here at Active. We love playing your music. And
Thank
of
you.
course, Atlanta loves you.
Thank you.
Roller Coaster, Roller Coaster. That's a powerful song.
Thank you. Excuse me, let me adjust my camera. Hold on. It's funny because you caught me by surprise by talking about roller
Uh-oh.
coasters.
Uh-oh. We can
Okay,
adjust.
I'm back. Everything's muted. My phone's set up. I'm back.
Yeah, yeah,
Roller coaster. Yeah. I have a lot to say about it, but I don't even know where to begin.
yeah. There are a few things that stood out to me. I don't want to ride no more. This insanity could never be anyone's choice. Um, the first thing we need to do is look at ourselves.
Yeah.
Those are just kind of three things that just I kind of pulled, and I've been watching everything that you've been doing, on Instagram and just the daily deposits that you've been making into everyone's life. Um,
Thank you.
because we need it now more than ever. So,
Yeah.
what's the challenge about knowing where to begin on roller coaster?
I have a personal conversation about the power of music and how it can be used, which is why for 20 years, all through all my 8 albums, I've sang about the type of things I've sang about. Um, Self-love, self-definition, humanity, love of humanity, interconnectedness of humanity, um, the beauty of Black people, the beauty of men, the beauty of relationships. That's why I've sung about all these things, because I understand that when you put rhyming words to rhythm, it
Yeah,
sticks with people. I was going to say the word hypnotize. I don't want to be technical because I
yeah,
don't know if that's a technical truth, but it really
yeah,
sticks with people, right?
yeah.
Because we can sing anything. What is this? Da 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 da.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I don't know.
Anybody who has ever heard that? It's a good time for the great taste, right?
Oh
So,
yeah, yeah, yeah. It is. It is. It is.
right,
It is.
right. And so it sticks with you somehow. You're like, that's familiar. Okay, okay. And so for me, I always would write music that I thought was going to be of service to myself first, because I had a concept that I could have a long career, and to the listener as well. I wanted to make a contribution to them. And so now that the world is turned upside down and people are having to look at themselves, like you just said, that line from Roller Coaster, the first thing that we need to do is look at ourselves.
Yeah,
Part of me is asking myself, well, come on, y'all. Just last year, you were singing about how you like the shape of your girlfriend's butt. Just last year, I'll say, or you like this woman's butt, and that was the most important thing about her.
yeah,
Just last year, now, but so where were you when the children needed you to say something to them that was going to make them be ready for this moment? And it's not my place to say what anybody should be doing, but I'm just saying that's how I feel sometimes. And
yeah,
I'm like, oh, so now we crying in the camera and now we worried about our boys. But where were you when the boys
yeah,
needed a good role model to show them how to conduct themselves around women or in the world or whatever? And again, I
yeah,
know everybody has their own path. I'm not trying to say I'm right. I'm saying this is how I feel. And
yeah.
so when we talk about the song Roller Coaster was released February 2019. And
Mm-hmm.
so all the way over a year and a half or something like that ago. And now it makes even more sense. And it even has, in my opinion, a laser point accuracy. And so when you ask me where to start when we talk about this song, I want to say that I'm sad that it's even more accurate than it was a year ago.
Yeah.
And the other truth about Roller Coaster is I've written it 4 or 5 times since 2006. There was a
Mm.
verse in there about Michael Jackson at one point, And actually in the verse, I said, the whole world's laughing at our Michael Jackson. When he's gone, we gonna all have a different reaction. And then when he died, I was like, I can't do this. I had a verse
Yeah.
about Whitney at one point. I had a verse about
Oh,
Britney Spears at one point. Not that Britney, thank God she's still here, but it was like, this girl's having a breakdown and everybody's laughing because it didn't seem right to me. It's fine entertainment if that's how you look at it, but if we're talking about humanity, it's just not loving. And
yeah.
so the fact that I wrote it again for 2019 release, and it makes even more sense in 2020, the summer of 2020, than it did in early 2019, bothers me. And there's a part of me that feels like we as a humanity, had we conducted ourselves a different way, could have averted this type of moment. But also I feel like things are the way they're supposed to be, but I still have that thing inside of me, the person inside of me who's been working for 20 years to shift the consciousness of people. Because I was raised in like the Pan-African communities where they taught us that we were the generation that was going to have to save things, and we needed
Yeah.
to use whatever we had, our photography, our dance, our journalism, whatever we did. If we did hair, if we made jewelry, whatever we did, we needed to do that for the upliftment of humanity to avert a moment like this. And I don't believe that our elders were wrong. I think that they imbued us with the confidence that we needed to do the work. But at the
Yeah.
same time, it makes me sad to know that now everybody's ready to cry in the camera, and now everybody's ready to support the boys. But also, I'm happy that we're doing it too, because we need all hands on deck. We always needed all hands on deck, but now we need all hands on deck because everybody's wounds are awakened. There's so
Yeah.
many things that people want to see change: trans people, women, black women, the music industries, the sexism and the ageism. Everybody's wounds are up, and so everybody wants their stuff to be addressed, and we need all hands on deck. I have my own wounds around the music industry, and I have been vocal about it, especially this year. Before like in January, I went to the Grammys for the express purpose of walking on the red carpet and saying everything that I wanted to say for 20 years, and was like, I'm not even coming back to the Grammys. That was my point. And I said
Yeah.
everything on the red carpet that day and left it. And so now that all this is awakening, I have wounds around that are waking up too. And so we need all hands on deck in all ways. And so that's really what the song Roller Coaster is about how we use our own platforms and our own gifts and our own abilities to address anything that is in our environment that we can address. My favorite line of the song Roller Coaster is, keeping up with the Kardashians is falling behind.
Yeah. That's,
Because it's fine if you want to be entertained and watch TV and
yeah.
blah, 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 but they
Uh-huh.
represent so much of what's inappropriate about womanhood and entertainment and think, even conversations around race. So to
Yeah.
me, it's like, what are we going to do? Because like you said, the first thing that we need to do is look at ourselves. That line from the song, that's really
Yeah.
what all this is about. You can call
Yeah.
yourself an ally or say whatever, but you're not really an ally unless you're looking at the ways you conducted yourself mistakenly in the face of any marginalized people.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
even some of us who are new to understanding how to address transgender people, we might say he or she or the wrong thing. We need to look at
Yeah.
ourselves and say, have I ever done that? Or
Yeah.
whatever it is, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I
I totally. Yeah.
that's why I didn't know where to start, because the song Roller Coaster is packed for me. And there's also another conversation about the music industry journey I've had and how that song never got its chance. And finally I left Motown and I got to another label that cared about my artistry. And they were
Yeah.
like, whatever you want to do. What do you want? What do you want? And I'm still
Yeah.
getting used to being with people in a business context that are humane. I'm still getting
Yeah.
used to it. So I asked for them to make this Roller Coaster lyric video because I knew I wasn't going to make a real video, and they weren't maybe going to try to take it to radio, probably not. But I just asked and they were like, yeah, sure. It was like real easy. Yeah, we'll have it to you Friday. So
Uh-huh.
a lot to say about the song Roller Coaster, which is why my eyes bugged out when you brought it up first. But thank you for letting
Yeah.
me say
Yeah.
all that.
Yeah, I mean, shoot, sis, let it out. I mean, I think it's something that everyone wants to hear. And, I know it can be frustrating when, like, you kind of knew all along. And it was like, I was trying to tell you all this, it's interesting because, people kind of absorb a lesson, depending on kind of where they are in life and what their life experiences are. And I think through this and my interactions with people, I've learned how to be, a little bit more empathetic and just, try, because it is frustrating, when you kind of see, like you said, things that could have been averted. I'm just so thankful that, you were given the spirit to deliver the message through the music. And I
Thank
also
you.
really appreciate your transparency, India, because
Thank you.
you know we see you. Well, I'm going to tell you how I perceive you and how many of your fans, I believe, perceive you as a healer. I think that we look to you not only for music and the sound and feeling, but also for healing. And
Thank
but
you.
I think it's very um, you know I don't want to say brave, but I think it's very open of you to just share that you still have these struggles in the music industry and that you're trying to sort through it and figure it out. I mean, do you ever feel like a little bit of pressure to live up to the standards of being that healer, being the positive one all the time?
I think there must have been some point where I did. I
Mm-hmm.
think that was a long time ago, probably when I was making my third album, because it was
Yeah.
a breakup album. And I remember thinking, are people going to want to hear this? And how am I going to do this? And blah, blah, blah. That was so long ago.
Mm-hmm.
Because what I understand about, so for me, thank you for saying all that, first of all. First of all, when I
Yeah.
think about the word healing, the definition of the word healing for me is to return to wholeness.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that there are so many ways to assist people in doing that. And I think the number one thing that anyone can do is be transparent about their struggles, because the
Yeah.
most healing thing I've ever experienced are when people come to me and say, I've been through that. Let me tell you my story. And they talk about,
Yeah.
how they made it out or how much it hurt. Because we also know how much it hurts when people don't see you. People don't
Yeah.
understand what you're talking about. They don't know anything about what you're saying. It
Yeah.
hurts. And so it's
Yeah.
beautiful to hear somebody else, I think, to just be transparent about their struggles. And I think it adds a little notch to that return to wholeness to say, okay, we all go through the same things. I'm not the only person who feels this way, all that. And so, no, I don't feel a pressure to be the positive one all the time. And I also think um, that I don't feel a pressure to do anything. I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying that from this vantage point, like just as a full grown woman who's been in the music industry 20 years. Um, but where I'm at now and the person I'm developing into, the only pressure, I don't feel a pressure. I feel a drive to be my truest self. Because when I have something inside that I can't say or that I'm holding or that's hurting me or really like that I'm ruminating over because I can't get it out, that stuff has made me sick in the past. I've had ulcers in the past. I had ulcers
Mm-hmm.
so bad I couldn't drink water. Like when I was
Oh.
27, 28, like just everything I ate hurt. Stomach was always hurting. Just, and a lot of like mental anguish and repeated bouts of depression because I was surrounded by just people who were using me and trying to
Right.
coerce me into doing their bidding and spending my actual life force for someone else's agenda for years and years. And so understanding how horrible that feels, on the flip
Yeah.
side of it, it makes me just feel like whatever I have to say, whatever I have to do, whatever I want to sing, however I need to say it, if I need to be too candid or go super quiet and stop talking for 3 months, whatever I need to do is what I do, because my healing and my wellness is in my hands. You get
Yeah.
past that point where your parents can't fix things very early in your life, and then we
Yeah.
all are looking for something to fix us and what's going to make everything okay. But there is no fix all. You do a little bit every day and you adjust every day. What feels good today, what works for your skin today might break it out tomorrow. What worked
Yeah.
for your life the man who you liked last year might not be working now, or whatever it is. And so I'm willing to make any adjustment, to say anything, do anything, sing anything that I know is going to be the best thing for me, not to the exclusion of anyone else, but because of I have a true belief in the interconnectedness of humanity. And the only thing we can really control, again, the first thing that we need to do is look at ourselves, because
Yeah.
we comprise this humanity. And so if
Yeah.
you are working on being a good you, then there's one more healed person in this world. And we need that. And
Yeah.
also, if you're trying to help someone else, the more healed you are, the more potent, more powerful, more focused you can be for someone else too. And
Right.
so I'm not willing to hold anything in or to hurt myself for anybody at all.
Yeah.
So no, I don't feel a need to be a positive one. Sometimes in one-on-one interactions, I feel like I surprise people, because
Yeah.
they'll be like, she was gangster. Like I have people be like, you're kind of gangster. Like I've heard people say that, stuff like that. Because I'll be like, no, because sometimes you have to tell people no, and people
That be
think
the
they're
end of
being
everything.
right. No. I said no when you asked me in the other store, no. Like, you know, like whatever the black girl swag comes out of me too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so like in personal interactions, I feel like sometimes I surprise people, but if I'm walking around in a city and I'm alone and I have to draw a hard boundary with someone for any reason, then it's going to be like this and this is what it
Yeah,
is.
yeah, yeah.
But,
That's,
also, after
yeah.
you.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that's so powerful because I've been sharing this one quote that I saw with so many people that I thought was so profound, and it said, make sure that when you say yes to others, you're not saying no to yourself.
Oh,
And
yeah.
yeah, and I think sometimes people, they feel like, well, we're supposed to give all the time. We're supposed to be, serving to others. We're supposed to, help others. I mean, it comes at the expense of our own self-care, especially being someone, in the music industry. I'm sure everybody is like, gimme, 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 here, 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 sing this song, do this interview. And it's just like nonstop. And sometimes you just have to say no, to look out for yourself.
My favorite version of that saying is, if it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no.
Oh, I love it.
Because a lot of times what we do is like we're in the middle, like, I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
okay. And then we
yeah,
end up betraying ourselves. And I think there's a difference in considering everyone else and in giving everything away to everyone else. There's a
yeah,
difference. Like I don't think it's ever, in my opinion, I don't think it's ever appropriate to not consider that you are a part of a greater humanity. I think it's always appropriate to keep that in mind in whatever you're doing, even when you're driving, you got to drive safe for you and for the people around you. It's always
yeah, yeah, yeah,
appropriate to consider,
yeah,
but also it doesn't mean that they are, or that anything outside of yourself is your first consideration. You
yeah.
have to have a you. There has to be a you, so.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
what I noticed in your songversation that you're doing on Instagram that I love, I mean, it just feels so amazing, is
Thank
when
you.
I watch you singing and I watch you speaking, it feels as though that you're giving, but you're also receiving at the same time. And the way you speak and the words that you use, I was like listening. I'm like the part where you were singing, "I am light, I am light, I am light," and in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, brightness, sun, light, and then when you said, "I am light," as in the opposite of heavy, I was like, mind blown, because I think a lot of times people don't think about it that way.
I do. So I have a SongVersation podcast. I'm on
Yeah,
episode 25. It's taken me 2 years to get to 25 episodes because I do them when I want
amazing,
to.
amazing.
And these last 6 episodes I've done on my Instagram. So you can hear
Yeah.
the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, and you can see it, these last 6 ones on my Instagram. And
Hmm.
I do them because, like you said, I am receiving, like, you know how people say, follow your bliss, the Joseph
Yeah,
Campbell quote, follow
yeah.
your bliss. When you see me speaking and singing, I'm in my bliss. It's what I love
I
to
can
do.
tell. I can
You just like,
tell.
I open my eyes and forget where I was. I'll be like,
Yeah,
oh, thank you. I'm back. Like,
yeah,
legitimately. And because it's my bliss.
yeah,
And I do the Songversation podcast because it is also my comfort zone to dive deep. I'm not comfortable with small talk at all. That's why when you asked about roller coaster, I was like, can I just go all the way, or am I
yeah,
supposed to say
yeah,
thank you? I don't know how to do this because I'm not comfortable with small talk at all. I mean, I'm comfortable with it. I can do it, but I don't
yeah,
enjoy it. I don't enjoy
yeah,
it at all. And like I could
yeah,
meet a new person and be like, so how old were you when you had your first child? And what happened to him? And like I love talking
yeah.
about relationships and our real life
I love
journeys.
it.
And like I
I love it.
love it.
I love it.
So the other
Yeah.
day I ordered one of those garden towers where you can grow lettuce and stuff in your house. And the
Okay.
lady who was helping me pick my seedlings, we ended up talking about how she had a child at 40 years old and how she's not with the father of her child. And I'm like, this is what I like talking about. Right. So
Yeah.
anyway, the Songversation podcast, the songs I write, I think they sound simple, and I hope that they sound really pretty to people. Like you said, do I feel the pressure to be the positive one? And I know what you mean by that because I have my sorority of female artists that I'm considered to be a
Yeah.
peer to.
Uh-huh.
And one of
Yeah.
us is the sexy one, and one of us is the quirky one, and one of us is the positive one, and one of us is the whatever one, right? And
Yeah.
so with the Songversation podcast, I think that it is my nature aesthetically to make things really beautiful and pretty, like
Yeah.
my songs, even the chords I choose. But the lyrics that I'm writing have far more, far more depth than the music would um, suggest, the
Yeah.
sound of the music. So even
Oh,
like the song I Am Light, like you said, saying, because like in the podcast I say I am light as in the opposite of heavy. I am light
yeah.
as in illuminated. I am light
Yeah.
as in the light and heat given off by combustion. There's so
Yeah.
many ways to consider things, and that also, that deep dive into things, and how do I say that? It's like a deep and um un unhindered
Hmm.
unhindered depth. Like, how deep can we go with this? Like, how deep can we go? That is my comfort zone. And so if we're
Yeah.
involving music and depth and unhindered depth and the sharing of ideas, like,
Yeah.
that's me.
Yeah.
That's me. I'm a decidedly mental person. I mean, I'm emotional too, but I'm not like super watery, emotional, like effusive earth mother. And
Yeah.
so I think that's what people get drawn back
Yeah.
back by when they meet me in person, because I'm much more mental, much more into depth and stuff like that. And so the podcast, that thing that you see on me, is a person who is doing what they love to do. And
Yeah.
even in my concerts, I call my shows, I tell the audience when I first come out, this is not a concert, this is not a show, this is a songversation, so they can just get ready. I don't come out to like a big number and flashy lights. Ugh. I walk out and the music is soft and we sing I Am Light or something soft, and I pray. Like,
Yeah.
because I decided 10 years ago to do what I want to do and stop trying
Yeah.
to fit into somebody else's mold, because it was making me sick. And so
Yeah.
I like quiet music. I like depth. I like to talk and sing together in the same moment. That's what I like to do. And so, and not only is it what I like to do, it's my lineage. Like, I just
Yeah.
come from many evangelists and preachers, and they were decidedly more Christian, because, Black Americans, we all come from church.
Yeah.
We got some church in us, so some
Yeah.
level,
Yeah.
higher, lesser, or
Absolutely.
more. And
Absolutely.
so my great grandmother, my great great grandfather, and my grandfather, and they all sang church music, and they were evangelists and preachers and traveling evangelists. And so as that part of me started to come to life, I was like, this is really just who I am. I have to
Yeah.
talk. I have to sing. When I write these songs, they have to share my depth. Otherwise, I'm not interested. And my grandmother, my mother's mom, her name is Ernestine McMullen. She was a very dynamic woman. All my grandmothers were dynamic. She used to say, India doesn't embarrass us.
Hmm.
And because I used to think, I would look at some people and the way that they dress and the things they do as an artist, and I would think, what do their grandmas think?
Yeah.
Look,
Yeah.
specifically the grandmother. What does her grandmother think?
Yeah.
And so my grandmother used to say, India's music can go anywhere. Isn't she the
Mhm.
best one? She's the best one. She always makes me feel proud. Did you hear what she
Wow.
said? They need
I
to have
know.
a presidential candidate use that song. India's song needs to be on this show and that show. She would say stuff like that. And that always made me feel like I was walking in my lineage, because I didn't do it for her. I did it for me because it's what was naturally
Yeah.
coming out of me. But the fact that I would get that stamp of approval from my grandmother and my aunts and my great grandmother too. My great grandmother died at 100 years old. She was in Memphis. And she used to say, you're doing so much for the family just by being yourself.
Yeah.
And like, so to have the elders in my family see me like that helped me to remember who I am. And so my songversation is what I do.
Yeah.
It's who I am. And so that
Yeah.
thing you see is a person in their flow.
Hmm. And how wonderful was that for her to be alive to see you doing that? You're fulfilled.
Oh,
I mean, amazing.
yeah.
And I like how you were talking about like the depth of it, because as I was listening, I felt like, okay, here's the next layer. All right, here we are. The water's up to my ankles. Oh, now it's up to my kneecaps.
That
Okay,
was coming out of
I'm
my
gonna do the
eyes.
scuba gear and get in the middle of the ocean. And there was, I took some notes because there was one part, because I have this issue with like, thinking ahead, like not being present. And so there was a part where you were telling us to like breathe. And so I think naturally when you're like breathe in, breathe out, but you said to do something else, but I was already on the next step. It was just so difficult for me to be there inside of the moment. Like what is key for you in terms of being present, not dwelling on the past, not, being worried about the future, but the here and now, because I think that's something that people struggle with a lot.
Well, I want to say two things about that.
Yeah.
One, I've noticed that 2020 is stirring up so much in everyone. You hear
Yeah.
people that never talked about meditation or breathing or any of that. Like everybody's talking about it now. Like, let's take a deep breath in, a deep breath out. People you never heard say anything like that, right? And so
Yeah.
because our bodies automatically know that breathing brings us to the moment.
Yeah.
It takes us out of our anxiety and, things like that. And so when people talk about meditation, I feel like a lot of times it is, what's the word? Intimidating to
Yeah.
people because they
Yeah.
think you have to hold your hand like this and go home and float and
So
be in the
much work. Yeah.
Himalayas or something like that is real esoteric and specific.
Yeah. Yeah.
And and meditation is like sports. Like there's baseball and basketball and running, and then there's like whatever, like more exotic sports like snowshoeing or cricket
Mhm.
or whatever things we don't know about, like those kind of sports, right? And so there's always an entree into meditation for anybody wherever they are, even if you're Christian, because people see meditation as an Eastern practice. You can also
Yeah.
sit and take some breaths if you're a Christian, because
Mhm.
this is physiology. You are administering to your spirit. And
Yeah.
we all have one of those.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so when I think about telling someone to sit and breathe, one of the fundamental tenets of meditation is not that you're supposed to be doing it right. Like, oh God, I'm thinking about the past, I'm thinking about the future. That's not what it is.
Yeah.
Because meditation is bringing yourself back to your breath. That's it. So you start thinking about something else. Oh, back. You know how you can breathe where you can hear the breath inside your
Yeah.
head, like that type of breathing. That's all you do. That's all you have to do to basically be meditating. You can sit somewhere for 10 minutes and keep going into the past, keep going into the future, and keep bringing yourself back, and you are doing it.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
what I think generally happens for people is you start having longer stretches of minutes where you don't go into the past and future. And then you look up and maybe you can do it for like 10 straight minutes, maybe. But then you go
Yeah.
out into your life and you're still going to think about the past and the future. Sometimes it might be less, or
Yeah.
you might have, other things that meditation can do for your nervous system and things like that. But it's not about not thinking. It's about returning to your breath. It's like how you try to hold yourself up on one foot. You don't just do it. You go like this and you
Hmm.
adjust and keep yourself up. That's what meditation is like anything else. It's a balancing act and it's a returning to your breath, and anybody can do that. And so
Hmm.
the fact that you were on to the next step is normal.
Okay.
And then
Yeah.
if you heard me say, okay, but now we're going to do this, and you did it, then you did it.
Hmm. Yeah.
You did it.
Yeah.
And I also think that one of the important things to remember about the whole process of um, meditation, I was thinking about something else, but I think that is what's important to remember about the process of meditation is that it really is a moment that you take to administer healing to yourself.
Yeah.
So if you want to close the shades for 5 minutes, if it's in your office, if you have a spot that you like to sit on the edge of the tub in your bathroom, if you want to go into the laundry room because you got kids and they think you're doing the laundry, but you're really in there sitting on top of the thing for 5 minutes or whatever it is, it's how you want to do it. And all you have to do is return to your breath. That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I mean, you can do snowshoeing of meditation too, but you can
Yeah.
get there and learn it if you want. But also, you can just breathe because we all breathe so shallow through the course of a day. We all do it
Oh,
because we're talking fast and we're thinking and we just don't think about it, and our energy is up here.
yeah.
And so, if you take 5 minutes in your laundry room, you're doing it.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. And I really appreciate that explanation. And I'm sure a lot of people watching right now do as well. Before we wrap up, I want to talk a little bit about the short film.
Yes, please.
Home.
Yes,
Yeah.
please.
Yes. Yes. The visuals, the wedding scene, all of that. Can you just give us a little bit of background about how all of that came together, the inspiration behind it as well?
Yes. So, I have a new single out called Crazy.
Yeah.
And also, there's another song on my album called Worthy. The
Yeah.
song is called Sacred Space.
Uh-huh.
And all of my musician friends, that was always their favorite song on the album, Sacred Space.
Yeah.
All of my spiritual friends, Sacred Space was their favorite one. all of my spiritual musician friends, Sacred Space would be their favorite one. And then we went on tour last year. I toured a lot in 2019. It always was like a profound moment in the room when I sang Sacred Space. So I want to call it a fan favorite, but I think it's deeper than that. It's just like the one that reaches a lot of people. And it's a song that would never have been a single. And so I asked BMG, again, who I love, could I make a video for Sacred Space at the same time we were doing Crazy to save money? So like 2 in 1. And so we figured out a way to make it a long narrative. And for me, what I wanted to do with this short film is 9 minutes and 36 seconds. And I know that because I'm the editor. I've never edited anything in my life, but I got so involved in it. So it's 9 minutes and 36 seconds. And what I wanted to do with the narrative of it is, for the first time in my career, really on a very outwardly surface expressive upfront level, show myself inside of my wellness practices. Because my music is one thing, but I would always kind of hide certain things or whatever, for whatever reasons, whole other conversation. But this time I was like, no, I want to have meditation in this movie. I want to do yoga, and then of course, if you're making a film, we had to have a narrative that matched the song Crazy. And so of course there had to be a man and a love story, but even the man is doing like art therapy. He's doing Tai Chi. And so there's all of that, but also it's a part of a longer arc of narratives. So last year I had a number 3 single and a number 1 single. The number 3 single was my first one, called That Magic. My number 1 single was Steady Love. And so That Magic is the story. That Magic, Steady Love, Crazy, Sacred Space, which we're calling Welcome Home. That is all one story. It's meant to kind of be. So in That Magic, they meet, and you see them first falling in love. In Steady Love, you see them moving together and have their first fights and get engaged, and the woman gets pregnant, and they're trying, and then she finally does. Like the inside story of life, how things can be. And then with Welcome Home, you see the wedding and them living their lives together and having a beautiful day, and how they share their spiritual practices and all the things that are my relationship ideals, some of which I've realized and some of which I haven't, but they're my ideals. And so I wanted to combine just all the things I love, the beauty of Black people, the beauty of Black men, a story about true love and the interconnectedness of a couple and the journey of the whole relationship journey, which I will talk to anyone about their relationship journey. I love that conversation. I don't think there's a bad ending unless it involves some sort of physical abuse. But even when people break up, I'm like, okay, and then what happened? Like, I don't really think there's a bad ending. And then, like I said, my spiritual and wellness practices, I wanted to really do them. And so I'm really doing yoga on camera, really meditating on camera. And all those things were from my own continued commitment to my authenticity. Because I just, as the years go by, I get less afraid to just be me.
Yeah, I love it.
So I just made what I wanted to make.
That's amazing.
I'm proud of it too. I'm proud of it too. And just a little shout out to the male leads, because I chose them so carefully. I was like, they have to have a certain vibration. I didn't just want like a handsome model. It was like, it has to be, I'm looking for something, like it's a thing. And so especially, I knew Lyric because he was in That Magic video, Lyric Bent. And then the male lead for the Sacred Space video, his name is Mustafa Shakir. And I came across his picture 2 years ago. And I was like, well, who is that? Because I do think he's gorgeous. I think he's beautiful. Like, to me, he's the ideal of handsome Black man. But he looked interesting. And then when we finally met on set, I was like, he really is interesting. He has a lot in his head. He's studied a lot of things. He's like a wonderful thinker and builder of ideas. And he's a dope man. But I didn't know that when I just knew there was something about him. And so he was the right person too. And so they really made this film what it is. And I have to tell you one more thing that you didn't ask.
Okay.
The reason why I ended up editing this film is because the director that I hired, we had long conversations about how you capture Black skin on screen. Long conversations. We started 2 months, conversations 2 months before we had our first day on set. And she just got it so Wrong. Wrong,
Mm,
wrong, 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 wrong. We looked gray. There was like added texture to our faces and all this stuff that was just wrong. And when I
yeah,
saw it, I was like, what am I going to do?
yeah,
And I just took over. I just took control. And because, not just because I wanted to look good on camera, but because I needed these men to look good on camera.
yeah,
And so
yeah.
it ended up being one of the most stressful projects I've ever done. And that's saying a lot because the music industry just comes with a lot of stuff. It was one
Hmm.
of the most stressful projects I've ever done. I was already quarantining from February 4th because I
Hmm.
started working on this film 12 hours a day for 3 months. We finished it. We shot January 26th. I finished it April 25th.
Ooh,
So the whole time I was just like 10 hours a day, 12 hours a day, editing, because we also had to do a lot of special effects because she just filmed it wrong. And
yeah.
so, and the thing that I really uh, am kind of still mad about, to be
Hmm.
honest, like mad is the
Yeah,
right word. I was like, is mad the right word? Mad's the right word.
yeah.
Is that she still has this film on her reel.
Mm. The
And
old way.
no, the one I did, the one
Oh,
I finished. Right. I'm like, it just is
yeah,
so offensive. I'm offended. That's the word. I'm offended by it.
yeah,
And so on the flip side of that, I have so much attachment and love for it because I worked so hard for it.
yeah,
Like, it's just,
yeah,
when you work hard, it's just, I love it even more than any visual I've ever done. I think I look more like me. I think it captures more of my spirit and more of my true view on life and my yoga practice. And
yeah, yeah,
so I'm proud of Welcome Home. Sadly, we put it out right before the protest started, so everybody's energy shifted. But
yeah,
also, I know that it could be a lot less and it could be a lot more, but I like where it's at. And I'm
yeah,
so proud that it's out, pleased by what I've learned.
yeah.
Yeah.
We,
Welcome
we
Home
might have to
is
send
like my
booms
thing this
to her
year.
though. Yeah.
Huh?
I said
What'd
we
you
might have
say?
to send booms after her and tell her to take that down, or at
Child,
least give you some credit for it.
I got my credit because I finished the film. I wrote the credits
Yeah,
at the end, the scrolling credits, like the film. I
yeah,
wrote those. I put them in order. I wanted because I'm like, I'm finishing. The last month, I did it
yeah,
all. She wasn't involved. She didn't give a hand. In fact, she got in the way. Wouldn't make
yeah,
the drives available when we needed them one day, like just stuff. So
yeah.
I like the way the credits read.
Okay.
I like exactly everything how it is. I don't need to send goons after her because I think she's going to have her own awakening around it. But
Yeah,
she knows exactly how I feel. She knows exactly how I feel. And so going back to your question, do I feel the need to be the positive one? No,
yeah,
no. My commitment is to
yeah,
being healthy. And
yeah,
sometimes that means you have to argue about something or something.
yeah,
So
yeah,
thank you for asking about Welcome Home because 2020, like that's my favorite thing that's happened
yeah.
this year. 2019 was full of so much stuff, like just I was everywhere. It was a surprise. I haven't had a number
I
one record
remember
and
when, yeah, I remember when you came with Magic and you did the meet and greet. You know, outside of that, one thing that really stood out to me about you was that you were very
oh, at the
busy.
restaurant, right?
You're at the
Yeah,
restaurant,
yeah.
and you were very busy, very busy. And I think when you came, you were just coming from somewhere else, and when you walked in, you went to every single person that was there.
Oh,
You shook
yeah.
their hand, you looked them in their face, you thanked them for coming. I That just really resonated for me because I've never seen an artist do that before.
Thank
And
you.
I just that just really, in terms of the way I see you and the standards that I
Oh,
set and how I see you as a human being and an artist, I was really impressed by that.
thank
That
you.
opened me. Yeah,
Well, I
yeah.
mean, full disclosure, it was only like 15 people. I was like, there's only, I can say hi to everybody. Like,
That's a
but
lot.
that's why I
I think it's
like,
still,
I
yeah,
mean, I mean, it's easy
yeah,
to do. And they were all there for me. And I was just like,
yeah,
I'll just say hi.
yeah.
If it was
Yeah, 'cause
200 people,
yeah, yeah. It would have been
y'all gonna
different.
have to pay me per person.
I know people watching like, well, I need to go to an India show so she can show me some stuff. But I mean, sometimes fans think that kind of treatment is out of reach, so you really made it special. So I really
Thank you for
commend you
saying that.
for that. Yeah. And
Thank you for
so,
saying that.
yeah, this has been great. 40 minutes. They told me to keep it at 15, but my bad.
What? I didn't know it was supposed to be that short. I would have stopped talking a long time ago.
No, no, I was absorbing it all. I'm like, forget what y'all want to know. I'm about to have a conversation with India. But I really appreciate it. You know, it's been a
Thank
great
you.
conversation, and I don't like
Thank you.
interviews. I like things as well. And I'm like you, I don't like small talk, but as a radio personality, sometimes I don't know what kind of energy I'm gonna get. So I kind of
Yeah.
start like, tell us about your single. But I'm glad that you took it to the places that we went today.
Thank you.
And so Derek Harper, our PD, he loves you.
Oh,
Um,
thank you.
yeah, and you know, you always have our full support. We're looking forward to more live shows and actually feeling your energy beyond this virtual space. And I just want to send you continued blessings. Thank you for the good energy, and we really appreciate your time this afternoon.
Thank you. I was looking forward to this, and this is even better than I thought. A great way to start my day.
Yeah,
Can't believe it's
start
starting
it
so
up,
late.
start
This
it
is a
up.
good day. Yeah.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Well, you take care. Continue
Thank you.
blessings again, and we will
Thank you.
definitely be in touch. And looking forward to
Okay.
playing all the music on the radio and seeing
Okay.
more from you.
See you next time. Oh, I have to tell you, when I
Okay.
was thinking about this today, I remembered the restaurant and I remember
Yeah.
the owners of the restaurant. So if you ever are in touch with them or anything like that, send them my love because they were so
Yeah.
sweet and their food was so good.
Yeah, it was good. It was really good. Yep. Yep. Because I remember after everybody left, y'all was right off at a table, off to the
We sure were. It was
side.
like, it's
Yeah.
lunchtime anyway. And it's Black
Yeah.
owned and the wife and the husband,
Black
and they were
owned.
so
Yep.
sweet. So if you
Yeah.
ever see them again, just send them my love.
I will. I will. I'm sure
Okay.
they'll really appreciate that. So thank
Okay.
you again, and have a
Thank you.
wonderful afternoon. We'll talk to you
You
soon.
too. You
All right.
too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.